In response to attacks on pistol braces and short-barreled rifles, a new bill is being introduced into Congress which aims to remove SBRs and SBSs from the NFA once and for all. So let's break down what is happening. Now, really quick before jumping into the video, I just want to mention that looking at some analytics, about 58 to 60% of all viewers are actually not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to support the channel for free, please consider subscribing, and then also just drop a positive comment down below, because that helps to tell the algorithm that you appreciate this type of 2A content and it should share it to more people. As I mentioned in the intro, in this video, we're going to be talking about a new bill which was introduced into Congress, and it aims to remove short-barreled rifles and also shotguns from the NFA's definition of certain firearms. The bill would remove the ATF's power to regulate SBRs and would also void the ATF's rule on pistol braces once and for all. In essence, this bill would end the NFA's restrictions on SBRs, SBSs, and then also other weapons as well. The bill we're going to be talking about in this video is the Stop Harassing Owners of Rifles Today Act, also known as the SHORT Act. This bill was reintroduced by Senator Marshall out of Kansas and then also Representative Clyde out of Georgia. Under the text of this bill, it would remove the term shotgun, rifle, and other terms from the definition of a firearm in Section 5845 of the NFA. The effect of that would be that essentially for the purposes of the NFA, certain shotguns, short-barreled rifles, and other weapons would no longer be regulated by the NFA. Under the SHORT Act in Section 3, it's called the Elimination of Desperate Treatment of Short-Barreled Rifles and Short-Barreled Shotguns Used for Lawful Purposes, and the bill strikes out additional sections where the terms SBRs and SBSs are actually defined. So it strikes out certain sections of the NFA. The bill also adds in a section where it makes it so that your lawful purchase of an SBR through a gun store with a background check would essentially be all that you would need to lawfully own and possess that item. That language means that you would not need to register that firearm with the federal government. You would not need to pay a tax stamp, and go through a whole process for those type of NFA items because it would be removed from the NFA. The SHORT Act also makes it so that federally and at a state level, no tax can be enforced against certain purchases or possessions of SBRs or other types of items like SBSs and other weapons. The bill states that in the case of any registration or licensing requirement under state or local law with respect to a short-barreled rifle, short-barreled shotgun, and any other weapon, any person who acquires or possesses such rifle, shotgun, or other weapon in accordance with Chapter 44 of Title 18 of the United States Code shall be treated as meeting any such registration or licensing requirement with respect to such rifle, shotgun, or other weapon. Now that's huge because not only would it end federal enforcement and taxation of SBRs, but it would also block other states and localities from putting in place those types of restrictions if they tried to circumvent what happens in this bill. Finally, the SHORT Act includes language which requires that the ATF has to destroy all records on any registered SBR or SBS that they've ever actually got record of. And the destruction of those records would need to happen within 1 year after the bill goes into effect. In this section, it states that notwithstanding subsection A law of a state or political subdivision of a state that imposes a tax other than a generally applicable sales or use tax or making, transferring, using, possessing, or transporting of a short-barreled or short-barreled shotgun in or affecting interstate or foreign commerce, or imposes a marking, record-keeping, or registration requirement with respect to such a rifle or shotgun shall have no force and effect. No later than 365 days after the date of the enactment of this act, the Attorney General shall destroy any registration of any short-barreled rifle or shotgun, the application to transfer any short-barreled or short-barreled shotgun, and any application to make a short-barreled rifle or shotgun. One of the big things that this bill would also undo is a state restriction on the purchase and possession of SBRs through the whole NFA process. That's because many of these anti-gun states like California, they actually ban SBRs based on them being NFA regulated items. States focus their language on banning the possession of NFA items, but if SBRs and SBSs are no longer NFA regulated items, well then that kind of undoes the total state level restrictions because they've built it on them actually being NFA items. That of course would be huge for states that have restrictions on SBRs and similar types of items. Now, Representative Clyde, in support of his bill, stated that the Biden-Harris administration dangerously weaponized the draconian National Firearms Act to further infringe on Americans' Second Amendment liberties. Yet the American people overwhelmingly rejected the left's unconstitutional tactics and backdoor gun control in November. It's now time for Congress to use this mandate to protect Americans' unalienable constitutional right to keep and bear arms. Deregulating SBRs, SBSs, and AOWs is the most effective way to ensure American gun owners are not subject to unlawful and unnecessary restrictions, taxation, and registration of firearms or pistol braces. Senator Marshall, in support of the bill, stated that shall not be infringed is crystal clear, and the Biden-era abuses of the constitutionally protected rights of gun owners across the country need to be undone. The SHORT Act takes a step forward, rolling back nonsensical regulations that the NFA has placed upon gun owners. I challenge my colleagues in both chambers to pass the legislation and join me in fully restoring and protecting our God-given Second Amendment rights. Now, like I mentioned, the SHORT Act has been reintroduced and it is already supported by 45 co-sponsors in the House. The SHORT Act is also being pushed as a direct result of the Biden administration's attacks on brace pistols under the ATF's new brace rule. By striking the terms SBRs and SBSs from the definition in the NFA, the pistol brace rule would essentially be void and really have no effect. It would no longer matter if the ATF treats all pistols with braces attached to them to be SBRs, because SBRs would no longer be regulated under the NFA. Also, I think it's interesting to note that probably what would happen is if a bill like this passed, pistol braces would kind of become irrelevant because I think a lot of people would use stocks anyways. Right now, the pistol brace rule, like I mentioned, is currently blocked nationwide because of the Mock versus Bondi case and the decision by Judge Reed O'Connor out of the federal courts in Texas. That decision is currently pending review in the Fifth Circuit from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. And right now, AG Pam Bondi and the DOJ have asked for review of that case to be temporarily held because they need to determine how they want to proceed forward in that case. Recently, Trump issued the executive order to protect the Second Amendment rights of all Americans. And now, there's a lot of push for the administration to reevaluate a lot of these issues, reevaluate essentially everything that the Biden administration did with things like pistol braces, and then also review all the litigation going on, including all the pistol brace litigation. But while all that's happening, now you have members of Congress jumping on board to push bills like this through Congress. There's also other bills right now that are making their way through the process, like the National Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act, which has already made its way out of the Judiciary Committee. There, of course, are some fundamental issues with filibusters in the Congress, that could halt a lot of these efforts, but groups like GOA and others are trying to find ways to get momentum behind these bills, maybe get them attached to other things that must pass and really get a lot of, momentum behind these and get more members of Congress on board to, fulfill a lot of the Trump administration promises to protect the Second Amendment. And this would be a huge one to get something like the SHORT Act actually passed. So please contact your representatives and tell them that you support the SHORT Act. No matter where you live, call your senators and your reps to tell them that they must support this bill. I will leave links down below where you can find out, who your representatives are, and also I will put the U.S. Capitol switchboard also in the details section in the pinned comment, so you can call and tell your representatives that you want them to support and vote in favor of this bill. So really cool bill. I'm glad it's reintroduced, and I really appreciate that there's kind of a multi-level attack right now to try to win back Second Amendment rights and roll back a lot of this government overreach when it comes to our Second Amendment rights. Now, before I end the video, I just want to mention two things. I don't talk about this a lot, but I'm actually going to be doing a couple appearances at two different events. The local chapter, the Tulare Kings CRPA, is having a dinner. I will leave all the information on the video here on screen. Details will also be down below. If you're interested, if you're in California and maybe in the Central Valley area and you want to join and support CRPA in this local event, I highly recommend you sign up and get tickets. There's a ton of things going on. Again, links will be down below. And the other thing that's going on is GunCon. Once again, GunCon is happening. If you're not aware of what that is, it's a big event. It's kind of a blend between something like SHOT Show and some range events, and it's open to the public. There's panels. I'm going to be on one of the panels. And also there's a ton of creators that come to this. It was an amazing time over in Grinnell, Iowa last time. This time they're moving it over into Ohio. So if you're in the area or if you just want to come to a really cool event that I really enjoy going to, I try not to go to a ton of events during the years, but this is one of the one that I really enjoy. So I recommend, if you are interested, if you watch this channel, maybe you want to meet me and other content creators and hang out with brands and go to range days and do all that stuff, check out the link down below. That will also lead you to GunCon, where you can sign up and get tickets as well. But as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.